just from watching Holly and I play it and just from playing it with a partner, you could probably immediately feel the difference, even when you're talking about something that is make-believe. Now imagine when you take the same principle to something you actually care about. Right? Yes, but feels like you're fighting, negative, combative, like you're pushing and pulling against the person. Yes, and positive, collaborative, like you're open-minded and working together. And you probably accomplished a lot more in your surprise party planning with the yes and model. Now I need to pause and step over here and talk to my realist friends in the room, because there are those of you right now thinking, well, Avish, that's great, but you can't say yes and to everything. Sometimes you disagree. And you're right. Yes and is not a literal technique, it's a mentality. So I'm not suggesting if the office slacker comes to you and is like, oh, I haven't worked on this project for 3 weeks, can you do it for me? That you say, yes and let me pick up your dry cleaning. It's not a literal technique. What it is a mentality. Yes and is an open-minded mentality that lets you explore and build relationships. Here's the thing, yes but cuts you off. When someone comes to you with a suggestion, or an opportunity presents itself, or there's a ding moment in your life, your first reaction may be to say yes but yes but cuts everything off, keeps you stuck where you are. Yes and lets you explore and dig deeper and build a relationship. So if someone comes to you with a suggestion, instead of saying yes but, if you say yes and, why do you think that? Yes and, how else can we achieve that goal? Yes and, what are some objectives that this tie into? If you think back to one of the things that Andy Masters spoke about for the morning session, he was talking about that as a leader, how when someone comes in, it's building your leader instead of just giving them the answer. This is the way to have that conversation. Catch yourself when you're saying yes but. Now just from playing this exercise, it should be obvious that yes and is the ultimate customer service principle. Right? If you can just get your people to say yes and yourself to say yes and instead of yes but. If you think about your worst customer service experiences, there's almost always a yes but behind it. Like when someone's doing it to you. Yes, but that's not our policy. Yes, but we don't have a receipt. Yes, but that's not my job. Right? You want others to say yes and to you. Say yes and to them. It's also the ultimate teamwork and leadership principle. Can you imagine what your organization would be like if you and everyone there thought with a yes and mentality and interacted in the yes and way instead of a yes but way? This doesn't mean that you agree to everything. It just means your first response is to be open and positive and exploratory. It's a simple principle, but you'll be amazed from this day catching yourself how often you say and think in a yes but way. Now I want to be clear, I'm not saying you agree to everything. You can always say yes but. It's just when do you say it? Is it your initial response or do you say it after you've had a conversation? It's a huge difference in how your creativity goes and also how your relationship with others goes. Now when it comes to creating ding moments, yes and is the only way to do it. And here's why. We all have a comfort zone. If you imagine this circle is my comfort zone, when you say yes but, you say, yes, that's a good idea, but I'm going to stay in my comfort zone. When you say yes and, you say, yes, that's a good idea, and I'm going to take a step outside. Now that's scary but necessary, because when we're talking about doing things in a new way, or doing new things, or doing old things in a new way, they are by definition out of your comfort zone. Because if they were in your comfort zone, you'd already be doing them. So the only way to create ding moments is to say yes and to yourself, to others, to opportunities. The problem is that yes but is so easy to say, and it's so pervasive and so common. We yes but ourselves out of all the success and achievements we truly want and deserve. And I know because I almost yes butted myself out of the speaking business. When I first started in this business, I started about as dumb as you can. I had no money saved up, I had no prospects, I had no clients, I had no experience, I had no clue, but I acted with gusto. So, all right, one person like that. So, and 2 people like that. So what I did is, it was a hard first year, right? You don't know what you're doing, you're new in the business, and you've got your own business, and you're trying to make things happen. And things were tough until someone pointed me to the National Speakers Association, which you've probably heard of, similar to SHRM, just for speakers. And it was an awesome organization with lots of wonderful people. And I liked everyone I met, except for one person. You know how there's that one person? where you can walk into a conference room, you don't even have to talk to them. You can just see them standing across the room and you know, I'm not gonna like you. Well, I picked my target out right away. A redheaded woman about yay big, just from the way she stood with her arms crossed. I was like, I can stay away. Unfortunately, the universe is too smart for me, so one day I had to talk to her. I had to ask her a question. So I walk up to her and very politely I say, excuse me, Kristen? Now this was a problem because her name was not Kristen. It was Kirsten. Some people with their names. I'm like, come on, Kristen, Kirsten, I was close. It's not like I walked up to you and said, excuse me, Cookie. But the look of death I got. And you would think I'd have more sympathy. I mean, you may not have noticed, but I don't have the most common name in the world. It's Avish. But I get variations. I get Avish, Avish, Avish. Once somebody called me VJ. Which at that point, you're like, come on, you're not even trying. You think I'd have more sympathy, but I didn't. I was like, whatever, Kirsten, Kristen, Cookie, Kafka, I don't care. All I knew is I wanted nothing to do with her, and this reinforced my belief that she was pure evil. So I resolved not to have any interaction with her at all, but of course, the universe is too smart. Because I was invited to join chapter leadership, which means going on a 2-day planning retreat, where we'd all be staying in one condo and working, planning the year out. Well, guess who comes walking in the door the morning of day 1? Little Miss Cookie. I'm like, come on, I don't want to spend 2 seconds with this person. I have to spend 2 full days. Well, an interesting thing happened on the morning of day 1. She mentioned a piece of business advice that I thought to myself, that could really help my business. And at this stage, my business needed help. The problem was I needed more information, which means I had to talk to her. So immediately the yes buts begin in my head. Yes, but you don't like her. Yes, but what if she helps you and then you owe her? Yes, but what if she bites me? Now, it seems like an odd sort of fear to have, but please keep in mind, at this time, she reminded me of like one of those little yappy dogs. The little body, big voice, lots of attitude. So, fortunately, I was able to step back and say, okay, you're saying a lot of yes, but. Can you walk your talk? Which I think is something we should all ask ourselves from time to time. Can you say yes and? Yes, and this could help your business. Yes, and if it helps your business, you're not going to care what the source was. Yes, and if she bites you, you can sue her and make your money that way. Yes, and go do it. So I walk up to her very politely, say, excuse me, Kirsten, because I can learn. And I ask my question. And her response is polite, friendly, and helpful. So I ask a follow-up question. Again, polite, friendly, and helpful. This leads to us having a conversation, which leads to us chatting all retreat long. So much so that the second day, we exchange cards and say we have some things in common, we have some similar business things, we should meet up. And it also helped the fact that at this time the organization was significantly older, but we happened to be about the same age. So we meet a week later for lunch. And we have lunch at this coffee shop. And we stay there for about 5 hours, just chatting, getting to know each other. Now, before you get ahead of me, I know where you think this is going. Like, ooh, you talked about getting married this summer. I bet it was to Kirsten. Well, I'm sorry to say, nothing romantic happened. We didn't start dating. We didn't get married. We don't have a whole litter of little yappy dogs running around. But what did happen is that she became one of my very, very close friends. We're still very good friends to this day. More relevant to you as a professional audience is the first year I started to see success as a speaker. The first year I started to get over that hump that had been holding me back. I could attribute probably 50 to 75% of my business back to her. Either it was a piece of advice she gave me that I implemented, or a referral she passed on who went on to hire me. We even worked together doing a consulting project, working for 6 months with a team on their presentation skills and creativity. And I look back, I honestly think that if I had not built that relationship with her, I might not be in business today, because that's the only reason I got going. And it all came down to the fact that in one moment, I was able to say yes and instead of yes but. Now, I got lucky because I had multiple chances to say yes and. The universe kept throwing Kirsten in my face. But so often we don't get those multiple chances. An opportunity comes by, you say yes, but it's gone. So my question to you is, what are you saying yes, but to? What opportunities are you letting pass you by because you are so sure things are a certain way and you're committed to staying in your comfort zone? What ding moments could you be creating for yourself to change the game and break out of your rut and bust through that plateau for you and your organization by simply exploring ideas with a yes and mindset? Because really the thing to say yes and to is not the stuff you're already comfortable with, but say yes and to the stupid ideas, to the expensive ideas, to the ones that are impossible and you know you won't work. Because the ideas that come from that, you won't implement. But they're the ones that give you a new perspective that let you find those ding moments.